Hi guys, and welcome to the cMotion presentation of cVision for this presentation of the Chaos Show and Focus Puller at Work. My name is Steve Chappell and I'm the sales director here at cMotion. I've travelled over to Vienna to be the head office with my team. No, we can't make trade shows. We're trying to make the best of this, and hopefully you'll learn something about the cVision that you'll be able to take away and obviously get an experience and understanding of what we've achieved with this product. Now, I'm also joined, Dennis is with us, our product manager, so we'll be able to take questions perhaps after the presentation. If you need to leave at any point, you want to contact us, please do at sales@cmotion.eu, and we'll be able to deal with any questions that if you can't hang on to the end of the presentation. We will hopefully have one of our community managers joining us from location who has been using cVision on the morning show, and he'll be able to give you an insight into the setup and the advantages of using the cVision compared with other systems that he's used. But also we've got some nice photos that he's shared with us just to show you some of the setups that he's had. Now, to give you a quick run through of the product itself, we have the measurement unit, which is the cVision measurement unit, the CMU. So this little device here can go on top of the camera. We have L-bus integration. So this enables you to plug it through the daisy chain with your cPRO system, but it's also compatible with the ARRI system with additional features coming in the later software release. Now, the device has two camera settings, or two cameras. This actually creates a stereoscopic depth map. This enables us to measure 250,000 points in real time at 30 frames a second. Just put it down here. Now, the tablet is it's called the control unit, so the CCU. This enables us to do all of the settings and activate different ways of tracking and following subjects, but also measuring the set. So I'll go through some of these settings step by step and how you need to set the cVision up, obviously, to make these measurements accurate. Now, if we switch over to the camera view, you'll see a setup on the Alexa Mini. And the cVision measurement unit, we have to create the offset, as you do with any distance tool. Now, to do this, you'll do the measurement from the front of the sensor to the sensor plane on the camera. Now, this can be input in the CCU. We have an offset setting here. So we've currently got this set at 19 centimeters. It can obviously be done in imperial as well. And you can do that directly on the tablet, or you can do that on the hand unit. And it's bi-directional. So any changes you make on the CCU or the cPRO hand unit will, of course, go between the two units. Once you've got your offset set up, you obviously need to have your lens file active. So you need to create a lens file that will enable the autofocus to match the distance to the value on the lens. Now, we'll go through some of the different features a little bit later on, just simple setups to get the maximum measurement points. We can adjust the exposure. So we have a manual exposure setting, but I'm keeping this on auto. We'll go back to the settings now. So at the moment, if you can see the tablet here, we see we've got focus peaking. Now this, if I adjust the hand unit, so I've currently got manual focus. So if I adjust the focus, you'll see the focus peaking travel through the image. Now, if I go and tap here, we can go into advanced peaking. Now, what this does, this gives us three colors as a reference. So we have a green when we're in focus, the blue is behind, and red is in front. So this is a very easy and clear visualization as we're changing our focus, whether it's automatic or manual. So as we see, we just got going through here, out of focus. We'll see shifting through. And then maybe we can see this on the camera. Okay. Now we've got two different positions. So let's just adjust our focus. So we'll come back around to where we have our green points. Now we can set two different positions that we want to measure or track. So we've got multiple ways of setting up the two positions for single point, tracking, and near. So we're going to those in a little bit of detail, simply switching between A and B. You'll get the distance displayed up in the top right-hand corner. This is showing you the active distance that we're using, and we can switch between A and B using the tablet, but also we can transition between them using the hand unit. Now on the range display, I have a visualization of the focus knob, so we can see where the arrow is traveling. So I'm just trying not to block myself and the tablet at the same time. So we can see the small arrow is moving around in relation to the lens. And as we come back round, we have our A and then we have our B. So you'll notice the distances that are highlighted in the middle will turn green as soon as you're actually, the focus is on these points, showing you that you're in your depth of field. Now, if we look along the top here, we have an absolute position of our focus knob. So this will adjust when I'm pulling focus. And the next one along is limits. Now, this is a particularly helpful tool where you can set a minimum and a maximum limit where autofocus is active. So if you want to cut down, you don't want things crossing the line and triggering the autofocus, such as an actor or an extra going past, you can simply set a minimum limit and it will only be active within a range. Now, I've just been advised that we've got Gunnar has just joined us from America. So hopefully we've got Gunnar on board now who will be able to explain his experiences. Oh yes, brilliant. So Gunnar will go through, I'll pass you over. And then what we'll do after Gunnar explains his experiences, we'll go back into the unit and we'll go through how some of these settings are achieved. Hey Gunnar, welcome.
Hey, greetings from the camera truck.
Good to see you again. So yeah, looking forward to hearing some of your experiences working with the cVision and how it's been particularly helpful during these, well, the COVID times, of course, where there's lots more regulations and challenges on set. But yeah, if you'd like to share some of your thoughts and experiences that you've had working with cVision, that would be great.
Sure. Did you guys already go through the pictures, or we talk about the evolution of learning how to mount everything? Was kind of tricky.
So I think we'll just got those pictures coming up now. Yeah.
Okay. So you can see the evolution of how I started mounting and bringing things closer and closer, bringing down the tolerances, because it's always fun with a new product. But yeah, so this is on the morning show. It's on the lever head. You'll see some of it was mounted upside down, just because of where the display is. The rosette's at the bottom, so I was able to invert both of them and have a little tighter for moving around. Mm-hmm. But the best thing about it now is that in the firmware you can just flip it, so you don't need to flip the actual unit.
Yeah, so I think we've got an in picture. So I've got the about here, so I can rotate the screen, so I can flip the screen quite easily here. Just got to remember where my tablets are. It does a reset when it goes through. Yeah, so that's quite a neat and easy feature to activate now. I know you had a little challenge before this was available, but that's certainly now.
Yeah, well, that's why, I got to test it before it came out. Just all these little things to make it easier before it hits the prime time, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I mean, your feedback, in the real world, as opposed to just where we're developing products, obviously getting the real world feedback has been invaluable, helping us to get the features and making it, usable for the challenges that you face on set.
Exactly. So yeah, this is on the lever head, and so you'll see, because it's wireless, you'll have a little Wi-Fi module as well. Now, one thing I found that was pretty awesome I started doing on this movie is I'm able to extend the power and to the Wi-Fi using the L-bus cable, and so you can move that into a more streamlined position instead of having it look like a little parasite on the top. So you're able to separate it out to make it a little bit more cleaner build, as you will. So you'll see that in the evolution. So this is on the set of the morning show. With COVID, we were really worried about being too close to the actors. It was our first show back, and usually I use a soft tape to get right up on people, but they did not want to do that with social distancing, and I was able to use just a single point pretty easily. I was able to trust it more and more. At first, I was kind of leery of it, but you have like 25,000 points of focus. I can just like use that for the environment and see how far it is to the desk, how far it is to a table, and just point to it, and it tell me how far it is, which is great for environmental marks.
Yeah, so mapping out the step. Yeah,
exactly. And it looks kind of like a Wally, that little guy. So
yeah.
then I started.
You're not going up to, especially if the actors or you've got stand-ins even that are on the set, you don't have to go up to them with a tape measure or use a laser measure, because obviously not everyone's happy with having a laser pointed at them to measure distances as well. So being able to do that from the tablet to measure without having any impact on guys that are possibly getting into character or whatever you need to do, I think I'm glad to hear that that's been helpful for you.
Yeah, and the best thing, because I know that you could use the targeting and the tracking, which works pretty good, and it's only gotten better with this firmware update. But how I use it is make little zones, because we got 2 different boxes, and I use the near box. But you can see now, here's the evolution of using the rod mount system. So I was able to keep it in one location, and I didn't have to put it on the map box anymore. And I was able to keep it parallel to the lens. So that's the build I'm doing now on this movie.
Yeah, so the cVision is supplied with a mounting bracket set to fit onto 19mm and 15mm rods, but each AC will have their own way of mounting, and as you say, you're perfecting it, you're finding the best way that works for you. So whether it's with Noga arms or making your own brackets, it just makes it much easier for you, and not having to keep measuring the offset, because it's a constant if you've got your own bracketing system.
Correct. It's trying to keep it simple, stupid. So
yeah,
you keep it one less task to do. So, and you can see how the tablet's upside down on that with it mounted to my monitor. So that just keeps it more streamlined and sturdy without using a bunch of different arms. So that's why everything was upside down. But you don't have to do that anymore with the auto flip.
No, yeah, that's a nice little feature that I'm quite happy to be able to show now as well. But certainly with the mounting as you've shown in that picture. But as you mentioned, I didn't actually mention the wireless module in my first run through of the components. But as Gunnar's pointed out, and there are in some of the pictures, a wireless module that goes onto the measurement unit, or as Gunnar has done, is moved it back to a better position that allows you to transmit the distance information and, of course, the image to the CCU without having to use the Ethernet cable. So in development, most people who may have seen this at some of the trade shows in the past would have seen an Ethernet cable going between the measurement unit and the CCU. However, we've now taken that step much further, offering this wireless integration, making it more usable, more accessible, without being restricted. I think it would be with a cable. And I think so I've just got it movable.
Yeah, unless you're on the techno crane, you can't be attached. You can't be tethered. It has to be wireless.
Oh, exactly. So we've got, I think we're just going through those last little pictures there. But just while we've got you, Gunnar, it'd be interesting to know and I'm sure quite a few other people that are listening in will be interested to know, adapting to cVision. Obviously, each rangefinder, you have to adapt to a different way of using it. But how did you find it that compared with some of the other rangefinders that you may have used over the years, going from, say, the CineTape or the C-Finder 3, so the ultrasound lasers, and now using images to create that depth map? How are you finding that and implementing that into the work you do?
Oh, there's one thing that's wonderful about it. You have multiple boxes you can do. You have 2 boxes you can track at the same time, right?
Yeah.
A and B. And you're able to go back and forth. So I had this shot on the morning show. We had a push in on Billy Crudup at the door, and Reese comes and slams the door, and then she turns into a close-up while we're pushing in. So long lens, kind of tricky shot, but I was able to have the green box and the orange box lined up, and I was ready to prepare for Reese. And then so I did the push in, and right when she's turned around, I triggered on to the other measurement, went into that, and I was already prepared for her turn around into her close up, and I got every take. Like I wouldn't be able to do that with anything else. I would have to kind of have to pick and choose which one it is. And if it's like a cinetape, it's normally just gonna be whatever is closest. And then I just use the CCU as a targeting device. It's like I just build little boxes and place it wherever I want to, and then feed that into my handset.
Yeah, so it's similar to a UDM or cinetape, obviously spreading that measurement area so it's covering. But at least with the cVision, you see where that target area is, so you know exactly where the edge or the boundaries, and you can change the size, the position according to your shoot needs. So as Gunnar said, a doorway, a window, or somewhere where you know the action is going to be, being able to move them around hopefully, as I say, I'm glad that's made it easier for you, Gunnar.
Oh no, it's worked great for that.
Cool. What we'll do, we'll probably have let Gunnar get back to set. I know you're out shooting at the moment, but if anyone's got any questions, to contact us, sales@cmotion.eu. We can obviously have more questions come through. We can get, hopefully Gunnar at some point can help us.
Well, I got to say, we're doing the lighting relight, so I got to say, if there's some questions real quick, I can answer them, and then I'll have to split. Of course, they added the 6th day of all days.
You're a star. So if you could, if anyone's got any questions while we've got Gunnar with us, to say it's much better having someone who's actually using it actively on a location. I'm kind of limited from our office in Vienna to demonstrate things. So if anyone has any questions maybe they want to put to Gunnar in the next few moments, if you could just raise them on the chat, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I saw one that was max distance. Now I've gotten like 150 feet if there's nothing obstructed, but like doing cars and whatnot. But it's typically a little closer range. I'd say within I regularly use it between 100 feet and closer, because that's really what our range is typically. But I use it on the A camera, and normally I'm going to be little wider lenses closer and doing that. But I'd say anywhere under 100 feet is going to be good. I've gotten longer on tracking shots, but
so you got different ranges with different measurement devices. I know we had with the C finder with around 150 meters measurement, but optically having that 20-30 meter range gives you a little bit more confidence, especially when it's so controllable. Did you have any questions coming up there at all? Are we moving on with a bit of demo just to give
I think we should make the walkthrough first.
And then if Gunnar's still available, that'll be fantastic. But if you need to run away, don't worry. But thanks just in advance. Thanks ever so much for joining us, Gunnar. But we may well come back and have some questions for you in a few moments.
Okay.
So what we'll do, if we can go back to the top view now of the cVision, I can go through how we set the different targets up. So Clements, if I can have you switch to the top view, that'd be fantastic. Now, so we talked about targeting A and B. So these are quite simple. We have our target A, it's identified in green, and we have B, which is the orange. So they're quite easily distinguishable. Now you can change the settings here. So as Gunnar said, we have the single point, and that allows you to touch and get distance measurements anywhere around the set. Now, this is just giving me my distance points. However, if I activate autofocus, this will then transition to whichever position I want to have. So I'll switch to A, and now we have our focus. So if I switch here, this will now shift. Now, you may notice this is going not as fast as some people would expect, but what I've done, I've activated a time ramp. So if I deactivate the ramp and I switch between two positions, we have B, which is around me here. I want to select A, we select a hand unit. I can switch between two targets very quickly. Now, the other features that we have, we do this as, we've got a shot going on the camera, so we'll see the motor responding between the two positions. Okay. So single point allows you to obviously touch anywhere to get a measurement, but it allows you to track subjects going through manually. We can also then switch to tracking. So if I was to click on here, we've now got the green. Let's just switch to this. It's now going to follow me through the screen. And the vision I've got here is actually equivalent of a 32mm lens, and we're using a 40mm. So I've got a wider field of view on the CCU than I do on the camera. Now, the key advantage of this is I can actually click or track an actor coming into frame before they are seen on the camera. So this is great for changing the tracking direction of where your actor is coming from without having to wait for them to come into view on the camera. Now, the near feature, so this is the one that Gunnar was explaining, had for the two actors who had to have a tight shot on. This is our target area here. So I can change where I want the location, and this will do the nearest feature. So if I keep this on the green, I come over to me. Now, the nearest feature is going to be perhaps my hand unit, or it could be a product, but the reaction that we get is quite quick. So if we've got a shot coming through here, it will adjust the focus to the closest subject within that target area. So this is customizable. You can change, say, the size, you can change the position and move this around, and that is now where my focus will be. Now, of course, you can have A and B on any of those settings. And of course, you don't have to use the tablet or the CCU, sorry, for triggering these. We can assign them onto the hand unit itself. So we've got multiple ways of triggering autofocus. I know some systems will have a tracking function, but we've implemented a toggle. So you go between auto and manual. So we hold this one in here. So I'll simply press, we have auto on, press and auto off, and this will go to the position of the focus knob. We have a marker pin that allows us to do one measurement. It will adjust the focus to that point, and then you can press again to get a second measurement or hold it for tracking, but also it will allow you to turn the focus knob over the distance that's measured to regain focus control. Now, one of the latest features actually is a catch. So if I have the focus on, I have my autofocus, I can adjust my focus until I pass over where the distance is, and then this will give me my manual control. But I do need to press the button first, so we'll redo that one. Press the button here, autofocus catch, and then we'll turn, turn, turn. We've got a little red mark moving around the display. Once this matches my distance, I've now got focus control and regain back to manual control. Now, we've done a little bit about the ramp time and being able to change this. So this is in a settings. We'll go back to the settings page. This allows me to change how long we want this ramp to take to go from A to B. Now, you can also change different settings. Now, we have a speed ramp where it will be at a constant speed between the two distances. And we have a manual ramp. Now, this gives you the organic feel of changing the focus between the two positions. So now if I activate manual, we come down here, I will select my position A, and then this will allow me to transition between two positions. So let me put one here, focus knob, and then I can slide my iris up that will allow me to go between my two positions. He says. So I've got my mouse button on that one. The other option we have, if we go back into our time mode, so we've got this set up here, activate this. I can go again on the hand unit between my two positions, A and B, by simply pressing my second button, but on a manual, it will go to my focus knob. So now I've got my focus control. If we push this back using the coloring, so I've got the green, I want to go to A. This will now transition over the set period of time. We put A back down here as a single point. So this is my target. I want to go back to B. And if I want to go to the focus knob, simply press the third button that I've assigned, and now I have my manual control back. If you have to do a very tight shot, we can change the perspective, which we have a zoom feature that crops in. So we've got more points. It's more detailed on where you can track. So if you need to be more specific about your target, we can use this zoom that will give us crop visualization. And if I go back into settings, we can go on to a few more features that will be coming. I'm sure Dennis will help me out if there's anything I have missed. But what we'll be coming up with a new software release is the predict mode. Now, what this will do when you have an actor subject moving towards the cVision, this will calculate the speed that they're moving towards and the trajectory, and that will automatically keep the focus going nice and smooth. So it's not responding to it, it's predicting. So it gives you that much quicker reaction than you could otherwise have. Now, I think we've covered quite a few things. Dennis, I'll ask if there's anything else you want me to add other than the visualization. As I say, if we've got the top-down view, just so we can see what we have between A and B. So it's giving us our distances. So I've touched on those and the visualization of the focus knob. Is there anything else, Dennis, that you would like me to add that I may well have missed with being the chaos show?
Maybe you can try again the manual ramping.
Right, manual ramping, that was what I was doing.
Manual ramping basically should allow you to determine time and speed. You don't have to care about those two targets. You can do this manual ramping between two dedicated targets or between the engine and a target. It just didn't.
So yeah, so also focus ramp. So because you've got so many different axes that you can assign all of the controls to, usually I'll have my iris control here, but this is the control I want to use. So autofocus ramp, so that needs to certainly be active on there. We're in the ramp mode. So I simply press A, for example. So this will go to my position A, and then I can move my slider. So I haven't got a big position here. I need to change B. Yeah. Now I know. This is why it's the chaos.
If you put it a bit
B
further away,
single
you can see it more clearly.
A here.
Put one to the front. Exactly. Thank you.
There we go. So we've got the manual between the two. So this will now visualize showing you where I've got my positions. So B, put B here.
On the engine.
Tracking. So B. And now I've got this. Sorry, guys. It's called Chaos Show for a reason.
Slowly show it again.
So we just go down here. So yeah, as Dennis said, we've got, it's more of an organic, it's got two measurements. So you are using the distance information from the tool, but you can change between your two positions nice and smoothly.
You still do the creative part, basically determining timing and speed of the focus pull. But the two targets are, if in autofocus mode, of course, set, or one is set, and you can transition towards your manual control.
Thank you, Dennis. I think we've covered most aspects now of the cVision and applications. And thanks again to Gunnar. I'm not sure if we still have Gunnar on board with us or whether he's up on set. Yep, we've still got Gunnar there. If anyone has any questions, of course, most of these features are still exclusive with the cPRO system, especially the focus peaking. There will be a software upgrade, and I think the High 5 is going to have some of these features coming later, or I think the first quarter, maybe second quarter of 2022. But again, the development that we've put into this product is centered around the cPRO system. So any of the cPRO hand units, an LBus integration. But if you'd like to ask for a demonstration with your reseller or maybe a rental house, please let us know at sales@cmotion.eu, and we'll try and source where the nearest product or system will be that you can try. Because you, again, like trade shows, you need to get your hands on to get a real feel for the product. And unfortunately, we can't do that with the limitation of trade shows at the moment. So I'll just pop over. If you have got questions, I think we're going to check now. So Clements, how are we doing?
Yeah, there are a couple of questions.
There are a couple of questions. Excellent.
You touched on the High 5 future integration.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Okay, sorry, I covered it a bit late. But say this is a.
How is the latency of the wireless for the PC unit?
I think
maybe it's also a question for Gunnar. You have the most experience on set, how it behaves with the wireless module.
Yeah, I think that would be get it from a.
Yeah. All right, so the latency it kind of changes on the get to the hand unit. No latency at all. Sometimes I've noticed with the Wi-Fi, if you need to change channels or something, sometimes the image would be behind. But I normally use that to set up just the boxes and then feed it to the handset, and that feeds it directly with no latency. But sometimes you'll notice if depends on how much is on that channel, you might notice like the image might be a little delayed,
Yeah, thank you.
but that's okay.
I think it is important to notice that the CCU, the control unit, is just for the setup. There can be a delay in the video, but this is not critical for the measuring, because the measuring takes place on the main unit, basically directly on the camera. It feeds the data directly to the lens control system, and this is not delayed. This is just for the setup to select your targets. There you need the touch PC for, and yeah, once this is set, even if it's a bit delayed, it doesn't affect the tracking or any measuring, because that's on the main unit.
Yeah, so it's only the image where there may be a small delay, but yeah, where the money counts is the responsiveness and that data passing from the measurement unit to the motor and reacting when it needs to react.
Exactly.
We have the refresh rate, a question on the refresh rate of the sensor. This is 30 hertz, 30 frames per second, so it's 30 hertz. Also, most of the data is on our website. The focus teaching, I think you mean the lens mapping, Maximiliano.
Creating a lens, yeah.
We have covered it in a previous video.
Yeah, so this is day 4 now of the Chaos show. So we've been doing 2 videos every day. So to create the lens file, we have got the cPRO advanced setting. So we show you how this is done. There are other videos available as well, but yeah, it's basically using your hand unit to create a lens file for all of the axis, assigning the motor position to each of those values. And of course, if you're using every value, you're more accurate instead of calculating or estimating the value between each engraving. So creating that lens as accurately as possible is critical.
Then we have another question from John concerning the ISO of the measuring unit. Basically, we didn't do an ISO rating for the cameras, because you can gain those cameras. You would never do with a regular camera, of course, with a film camera. It gets noisy, but this does not affect the reading. As I said, this is just for the readout on the touch PC to select those targets. Maybe Gunnar, also, what's your experience in lower light situations that you may have?
Yeah, low light, it's fine. I use the auto exposure, and it's like a black and white image anyways, and I'm not using it to judge exposure or anything. So I'm able to put the people out and then draw the boxes where I need them, and good to go. And then I'll use the toggle switch on the back of the cPRO to go from marker A to marker B, and just go back and forth.
Yeah. Well, then another question, I think, from John: how does it behave in atmo smoke in the rain?
Oh,
this is maybe also an experience. Any experience from your side, Gunnar? Of course, in the nearest function, it will for sure be something that detects if it's heavy rain. Tracking, we are working on improving that. You can filter that. Also, you can use limits for sure, that you can filter the foreground and the background to separate what's interesting. But any other experience from your side, Gunnar?
Well, I haven't. I'm sure that rain would affect it. Just because it, depends how heavy it is. Atmosphere, I haven't had any issues with. It's cut through that, no problem. But I can imagine. Luckily, I haven't had to shoot in the rain with it, because it's always so much fun, anyways.
Yeah, well, I'll be having the demo unit in the UK, so I'm pretty sure it's something that I can get some experience with over the coming weeks.
Great.
But we got, yeah, one thing I did miss, I think it was a new software, was with markers. Of course, we can put markers with the focus scale. So you've got a color marks and a haptic feedback as well. So if you're putting focus manually, you get a progressive haptic feedback. And it will go first buzz if you're getting close, then it'll be 2. But you've actually got a distance one, I think, that Dennis was talking about a little earlier for me, where when you're pulling focus and you're getting close to the distance as measured, you get that mark display, but also a haptic feedback. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So we have a feature. This is more a cPRO hand unit feature, where you can get those distance markers on your focus scales. You just get the readout will be set into the focus scale as a marker. So you can just press that button while somebody's walking through. and you have a visual reference or your marker reference for the tape.
Oh, that is brilliant.
Then we have another question concerning the distance limits of cvision. So we rated with 15 to 20 meters. This is because then the relative error gets bigger. You can do measurings further away, but there, of course, it depends on the lens, how, if it's precise enough. Still, as I said, the relative error gets bigger the further away from this range the subjects are.
Yeah, and the close range was 60 centimeters, so it's not something designed for macro. Of course, the positioning of the cameras, the distancing, it does have a limitation for that. But once you're beyond that, it's giving you an accuracy, up to 15 to 20 meters. But I think we've had a few experiences at trade shows where we've tried to push that boundary a lot further to see what we can do when we've had access to some of those long lenses. Any more questions coming through, guys?
Yeah, we
oh yes, my goodness.
How it decides what is in focus. Steve, as you said, basically you have to select it, right?
Yeah, so depending on what you want, how you want to activate it. So going through the start, we can select a single point. So I can, if I switch to my green single point A, I can simply tap around where I want that to be. So if I go into my autofocus mode, this will allow me to change my positions and again track between the layout using the touch PC, tracking which, as I said, if I put my tracking up onto me, that will actually follow me. So I've decided where I want that focusing to be. And then near, as Gunnar explained about being able to move it around and adjust the target area. So you're limiting how much it is. That will then pick up the closest subject to the camera. So at a certain stage, if you needed to, you could disconnect the CCU, and whatever settings you've activated, they'll still be stored within the system and it will still operate, picking up those points that you've selected, and you can then toggle between them on the hand unit A and B, those two objects. Hopefully that helps answer that slightly, that one.
Also, you can basically simulate different other rangefinders like a UDM in this function, basically. So with this nearest function, it's like a ultrasonic device that would cover the nearest point. But as Steve already explained, you know where this point is. You can do two of those on the left and right side. You can then switch between those, or position it and make it tighter or wider.
So yeah, it's really the creative element is using the tablet to give you the overview of what the camera is seeing. And as I say, in this example, I've got a 40mm lens, but we've got a equivalent 32 view coming through from the cVision. So you can really see where you want that focus to be and pick those points accurately. And if you do need, as I say, just going again, the zoom, that crops the area, it goes in tight. So you've got more points and references that you can actually use to be more accurate. If you've got multiple moving subjects, for example, that was a great addition with one of the software updates recently.
And I think we covered a little bit of it already. How is the change for a focus puller that used to measure everything with a gaffer tape to make it smart compared to this machine and the infos there? Gunnar?
I think, yeah, if we've still got Gunnar on board, I think, going through the years of experience you've had on set with tape measured marks and everything else, and I'd say, especially with this COVID time, you've mentioned the advantages, but yeah, what have you got to offer on this one?
Well, still my favorite tool I own is the soft tape measure. So, because I use that for so many different things. You can use it to build relationships with the actors. You can use it to use it as a stopwatch if you need a minute just to get some marks. So it's such a versatile tool. But if you're in a pinch, especially with COVID, and you want to socially distance, I was able to just get environmental marks very quickly, and it saved a lot of time. But
yeah, but it's a learning experience getting through. As you say, I've had a few moments to get used to some of the new software features that I'm hopefully going to get out to demonstrate to guys, especially in the UK at the moment, so I can get around a little more. But even with other products, it takes a little bit of adapting to get used to how you use them, how you set them up. So there is a bit of a learning curve, as there is with all products. But hopefully with the help from more videos, perhaps demonstration things. It gives you more of an insight into how you can do it, but really getting your hands on, you get to learn about the product and how it best works for you.
Yeah, then we have another question. This is more for the hardware. Does the tablet come with the cvision?
Okay, so it can actually be purchased separately, but just so I think we have just lost Gunnar. Gunnar's now gone back onto set, but yeah, thanks ever so much, Gunnar. If you watch this back, so this session will be recorded. If you want to share it with anyone, it will be downloadable on the Chaos website and Focus Pro at Work, and of course the cmotion website. But yeah, just to answer that question, we do sell them separately, so you can just buy the measurement units, the CMU. This will obviously plug into your L bus, but it will be on the wide field of view. So it will be one setting. You won't be able to select your targets. So it will be the nearest subject that it will focus on if you're, it will measure. And then if you activate autofocus through one of the trigger mechanisms on cPRO, that will obviously go to the closest subject in that wide spectrum of field. So any of those 250,000 points, wherever that target is set, that will activate without the touch PC.
And the target, the touch PC is to do the settings. It is needed for the settings. And because the question is if it could be an app, and we are working on an app or in this direction. In the future, we can't say yet the timeline.
Yeah, so this, I mean, this is of course something that would be a great step forward. But yeah, it needs the software and programming that we've done and developed with this particular CCU to do these settings and being able to get everything working as it does with the peaking and with offsets and everything else, all the touch interface. So it's not something that's available just to put onto a tablet or any other phone device, for example. But you know, this may well be something that we address and look at for the future.
Maximiliano asked if the unit was here wireless during the presentation or how.
Yeah, so I have got a power cable in there, but I am completely wireless. If I take out my power cable, there you go. So we are completely wireless. Oh, sorry. I'm trying to switching cameras, just keeping Clements on his toes. So yeah, we are completely wireless here. So since we've had the wireless module, yeah, I haven't been using the cable myself at all. I have done a small video a few months ago that came out just to show how this wireless can really change things, especially when you're using Steadicam. You cannot run around being held by a cable between the tablet and the CMU, sorry. So we have any more questions, guys?
Another question concerning balancing with on a handheld setup. It makes the setup more front heavy, as you should mount it as close to the lens to the front. In an ideal position, it would make it a bit more front heavy, but you can also rebalance it and slide it a bit backwards. This really depends on the setup.
Yeah, so we've got it mounted, you know, quite close to the camera body. So we've got the matte box of the view. You can see there are mounting points on both sides, the top and the bottom. So it really is a versatile tool that you can mount above or even below the lens at some aspects. But what you're trying to do, the best thing is to try and match the image you've got from the CMU to the image from the camera. And because of course that gives you don't lose any cropping from the top or the bottom. So yeah, the closer to the lens, it will be the best result.
And the last question we have is the future update ability of the system. Of course, you can update it. We just put a lot of effort into it to lift it to the LBOS system. If you can show it on the.
What do we do? Yeah, it says, oh, the updating there, sorry.
And of course, the feature development concerning different tracking modules and so on. This will all continue and be updated.
Yeah, so I mean that is a big jump having it LBUS integrated. Some of the previous versions that people may well have seen, we needed the L cube to create the LBUS interface, but now this is all integrated. It's also got the serial interface as well. So for other third-party lens control systems, they'll be able to use this. But again, this is moving slightly away from the cMotion side, but it will be something that in the future will be certainly with ARRI systems, but maybe other systems as well.
So that's it from the questions, right?
Well, that looks good. I think we got through the questions. If there's anything that does come up over the next few days, please give us a shout. This is the second video of the day, so this will be recorded and it'll be available to download. If you're interested, we have another session tomorrow, so Sunday the 7th at 2 p.m. and 8 p.m, where we'll be looking into the Cinefade Vari ND. We'll be highlighting the functionality of the system. We will hopefully have another community manager. So we'll have Martin Larson joining us, who's using it as an everyday tool. Again, it will be recorded and everything will be available. But in the meantime, any questions, please contact us at sales@cmotion.eu. If you want to contact me directly, it's stephen.chappell@cmotion.eu. And also feel free to follow us on Facebook and Instagram and the Focus Puller at Work forum. So if that's everything, we've covered everything. We've got no more questions. Thanks ever so much for joining us. I hope it's been an education and it's answered some of those questions that you have. Again, we're trying to get the demo systems available so you can get a hands-on experience on how this system can really enhance your performance and give you that helping hand, especially looking at large format and everyone wants to shoot wide open. So keep watching and hopefully see you guys at a trade show soon. All the best.